And another tip the owner of Moto Loco says that people on the bike should be aware of is to assume that nobody on the road can see you. That's when he took off. He ended up here in Orchid, nearly 30 miles away. The street behind me, that's a dead-end street. He had nowhere else to go. The apartment complex just ends right here. So he ran up the stairs into an unsuspecting woman's apartment. Well, Scott, many Armenians say they're descendants of Armenian genocide survivors. That's right, Scott. It's never too early. I met some swimmers today as young as 2 years old, and getting swimming lessons is putting their parents' minds at ease.
Nataly Tavidian is live in Arroyo Grande tonight with an exclusive interview. Nataly.
Paula Jones's business partner tells me that their relationship was purely professional. Take a look at this. This is apart from a car. Hi, Kelsey. Well, it was back in 2009 when thousands of people packed the IV coastline, and the Santa Barbara County Parks Department wants to avoid the mess that came from that party. Expecting a lot of traffic in this area of town throughout the entire weekend. Right, you could tell, right, Scott? It is a little bit chilly out here. We're here on Sierra Madre. Plus, making beer out of sewage water? Well, one state is going ahead with that green idea. Our top story today, a death that remains a mystery. Over the summer, a Lompoc woman's body was discovered in Orange County. It is minutes away. I'm right by the stage. It's a little loud here right now, so I'm hoping you guys could hear me well. A lot of the cyclists have already signed in. Scott, check it out. $1.89. That's the cheapest we find right now here at Lompoc. Having so much fun with Max out here right now, but volunteers say that the conditions inside are a little depressing because of how old the building is. The building has been here since the 70s, and it needs a lot of renovation. And right now, the future for these adoptable dogs is looking a little bit brighter.
I don't know, but the state of Oregon has signed off in part on a project that turns reused sewage water over to home brewers. Hillary Lake explains how all this works.
People in Santa Maria don't pay extra for plastic or paper bags in the city right now, but they may soon have to get into the habit of carrying reusable bags like these when heading to the grocery stores. Unattended cooking fire spreads to more than 1,000 acres. A wildfire started near the Prado Dam north of the city of Corona Saturday night. The fire has triggered the evacuation of about 300 homes. Paula, it was a close call, so the trailer is used for dogs, and this is one of the 2 dogs that was near the trailer during the time of that fire, but thankfully they were not hurt. Now, coming up at 6 o'clock, we're going to take a closer look inside that bakery and show you all the behind-the-scenes work in making these iconic Madonna in cake. Lucy Mars School Board is getting ready to meet in about half an hour, and everyone you see behind me is going to march over to show their support for teachers. And they were just chanting, "We are united." A lot of parents here are out here showing support. Say a man approached a victim's door in the apartments you see behind me here on the 900 block of East Jones Street. He approached the door and he started spraying underneath the door with fire extinguisher. He then broke the victim's window, and when the victim came to the door and he opened it, Scott, I saw customers come in and out of the berry stop all day today. Now the strawberry production is 1 month early. The owners here say that people are really excited to see berries coming in a month early. It did start pretty early. 6 a.m. is right, and there have been lines going on all day. I don't know what's going on behind me, but people are having a lot of fun right now. People dressed in green. Paula, so right here in Solvang, the animal rescue team tells me they've lost count on the number of coolers they filled up with these pigeons, and state biologists were right here today collecting all of the pigeons. Scott, this issue does hit very close to home because people here in Grover Beach have been dealing with road conditions for a very long time, like potholes like this. The city is working to fix that right now, but we did talk to a lot of people today who say they're split on a statewide transportation tax. Well, like the road conditions here, many lawmakers are saying the state of California is falling behind, and lawmakers say they need to act fast. And as you guys mentioned, this would take 2/3 of a vote to create that fee. Well, Scott and Paula, here's how it works. So I'm live right now at the Breakfast Buzz, and this restaurant is one of 10 in San Luis Obispo that have jumped on this Pocket Points app. And here's how it works.
Protective medical custody. Do authorities believe this man has some mental health issues? Natalie, is that what this comes down to?
That is what it comes down to, Scott. Yes, that he's being evaluated for medical conditions.
Difficult day for the
Scott, we've been talking to students and parents here all day since lunchtime. The fight broke out around lunchtime, and several law enforcement agencies were here. Kelly Hoover is here right now with the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department to answer some of the questions that we had. And Kelly, I've been hearing from some students 5 different fights. Can you confirm how it all started and what happened?
Sure. At approximately
Scott and Paula, the smell of the fire is still very strong out here. A lot of neighbors I talked to today say they are shocked at what happened. They do tell us that the house was up for foreclosure and the bidding was to open yesterday. That's when the fire happened, and they tell me that 2 things that were very important to Janet Miller were her pets and this home.
Well, she grew up in this house.
Neighbors say Janet Miller's home meant everything to her.
I was just getting out of class at 2, and my mom texted me that Janet had set her house on fire. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening.
But it was up for trustee sale, meaning the bank foreclosed the home. This is video from Monday. The day it burned down, it was open for auction.
Because I danced ballet, and she knew that, so she made this for me.
Ambria Newman moved into the neighborhood 3 years ago.
God bless Janet Miller. And that's what this necklace is that she's talking about.
Since then, she says her family became close with Miller. They were more than neighbors.
Yeah, she was pretty much family. When we would go downtown, she'd go into like all the jewelry stores, all the grocery stores. Like, somebody always knew Janet because she's lived here for so long, and she was just a light. Wherever she went, she was just a joy, so sweet.
But she says Miller had a lot to deal with. She was sick and on medication. Newman says she just lost one of her dogs.
Her dog died, and she kind of fell apart because her dogs are like her children. She called them people, so I had to come over when her dog died and try to help her recoup from that.
She lost her mother 2 years ago, and neighbors say she didn't want to lose her home.
Me, I'm numb. I mean, you go through shock, and then it's just like, what should I have done differently? I feel like a lot of people in the neighborhood are probably feeling like that, but you can only do so much for somebody.
Neighbors do say that she did have other pets in the home, a cat and several dogs, and they say that firefighters never found them. Now, the cause of the fire remains under investigation. Live in San Luis Obispo, Nataly, tavidian, KCOY 12 Central Coast News.
Top story at 6. A tense standoff in Grover Beach ends after several hours of negotiation. One man surrendered a knife and is now undergoing a medical evaluation. KCOY 12's Nataly Tavidian has been at the scene all day. She's live in that neighborhood now with more from neighbors.
Scott, that's right. I have been out here all day, and it lasted about 5 hours. It was 5 hours of negotiations after the man luckily surrendered peacefully. And some neighbors I talked to said they heard arguments overnight and into the morning, and they say they have heard arguments from that home before, but never a situation that led to a tense standoff like today. Just minutes before the man with the knife surrendered, a California park ranger walked out of the home with the man's sharp blade.
That was really scary to see that knife, and it was a very big knife.
Kind of afraid. I don't know what's going on.
Several agencies responded, including the California park rangers, who happened to be nearby.
Everyone is here, from Pismo to Arroyo Grande, rangers, SWAT, everything you could think of is here.
Some neighbors were kept out of their homes for a standoff lasting around 5 hours.
In the area where this house was at, there's multiple houses. There's a PUD development, so there's multiple houses in there, and we did keep everybody away from those residences for their safety.
Police say a man in his 50s was a danger to himself. They were called out to this Grover Beach neighborhood at the 600 block of Trouville at 9 Monday morning. A scene out of the ordinary for many who live here.
It's quiet, peaceful, you know, for the more part of everything.
Police say the man refused to put down the knife. Neighbors say they heard a loud argument coming from the home early this morning, and investigators are trying to figure out if that caused the man to pick up a knife. Police asked the family to leave the home while they talked to the man. After 5 hours, the standoff ended peacefully as police took the man to a hospital for evaluation. So we did reach out to the family for comment, and they did not want to comment. And as I mentioned before, police say there was no crime here. Nobody was hurt, thankfully, and the man has been taken in for medical evaluation. Live in Grover Beach, Nataly Tavidian, KCOY 12 Central Coast News.
Okay, thank you, Natalie.
Paula, that's right. Longtime business partner. They've been in business together for 20 years, and his business partner tells me that they had a professional working relationship. He didn't know much about his personal life. Still, he says he's very shocked, and a lot of people in the office are very shocked at these allegations. It was on Monday night, San Luis Obispo County Sheriff's detectives arrested 63-year-old Lawrence Jones at his Arroyo Grande home on the 500 block of Cameo Way on child molestation charges. His business partner, John Goodall, says everyone at the office thought Jones was taking time off.
He did a couple of weeks ago send an email to all his clients, turn his business over to me. The escrows he had and a couple of his listings, and then said he had a family emergency, and then a few days later he called and said that he was going to commit himself to alcohol rehab center. So that's what we thought.
He was well known in his community. He worked closely with the Humane Society. Last year, the Chamber of Commerce named Jones Citizen of the Year. Plaques hang in his office, even a thank you note from second grade students. Now, sheriff's deputies say that his bail is set at $500,000. He does remain in custody right now, and this is an ongoing investigation. Live in Arroyo Grande, Nataly Tavidian, KCOY 12 Central Coast News. Well, Scott, you can tell that the people who live here clearly don't want that to happen. They put a big sign on the tree that says, "Don't cut me down." But city leaders say it has to be done to build a sidewalk right where I'm standing. George Rouse says it's the tree in front of his home that stands out in this Lompoc neighborhood.
This is a very old tree, guessing maybe 75 or 80 years old.
But it's been marked with an X by city leaders, and it will be cut down.
It's truly a crime to cut a magnificent old tree down like this, especially in a city. That's a crime, especially in the city that has a reputation as being called a, quote, Tree City.
You can see all of the Tree City awards on the walls of City Hall. Lompoc has been recognized for planting and preserving trees, but now it's had to cut down nearly 30 of them.
Very important because the statistics for the city of Lompoc, there are a lot of accidents where kids are being sideswiped by cars because they're forced to walk along the streets when there's no sidewalk.
And in front of Rao's home, there is no sidewalk. The tree in front of his home will be the last one to be chopped down.
In the mornings, you can sit under this tree and hear a symphony. I mean, there are so many birds up there. This is where these are those beautiful.
Across the way, he says the city had to cut down fruit trees to make way for a sidewalk.
Family there fought it, but the city just came down and cut them down. Tree City all over again. Let's call it now Treeless City.
City leaders say it will all be replaced.
We are going to be replacing them at a 1-to-1 ratio.
So 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that for each tree that the city cuts down, it plans to plant another one, and that's after the sidewalks are built. Now, the reason why this tree hasn't been cut down yet is because there are baby crows nesting up top, and they have to wait for biologists to okay it. Live in Lompoc, Nataly Tavidian, KCOY 12 Central Coast News.
Now she's in a TV commercial to be shown during the big game. KCOY 12 reporter Nataly Tavidian is live in Orchid with Sprite the dog.
Yep, Scott, pretty ironic, right? This is Sprite, and she is in a Dr. Pepper commercial, and I'm told she did great on set, and it's probably because of all those AKC honors. She might look like a shaggy little mop with dreadlocks, but Sprite is a Hungarian pulley with a corded coat. She's playful, loves her toys, and her presence makes people laugh.
It's a natural coat. It has to be started when they're puppies to be in the cords, but once it's corded, it stays that way and grows that way for the rest of their lives, unless you want to trim it off. That was good.
Her owner, Anita Reitenauer, has owned about 13 of these unique pooches through the years. But she's never had one go into the showbiz.
That's Sprite next to the Dr. Pepper truck driver. The other dog is a boy and a friend of Sprite's.
Sprite did the moving truck ads part better. The other dog did the other parts better. They contacted me. The owner of the company came and visited Sprite, sort of, I guess, auditioned to a certain extent.
Anita's caught the commercial on TV a few times already, 2 NFL championship games and during a college national championship game. And perhaps she'll catch it again this Sunday during the Super Bowl.
I hope it does, but I have no information and I can't make any guarantees.
No guarantees, but it is Dr. Pepper's latest commercial, so you might catch it on Super Bowl Sunday. Live in Orchid and getting very attached to Sprite, Nataly Tavidian, KCLY 12 Central Coast News.
To look for Sprite in the Dr. Pepper commercial.
I know him.
What a cool dog.
Joey, well, it's a very different feel on campus today. We're about an hour or so from lunchtime. That's when the fights broke out yesterday. Students are expected to see more security on campus. You can see a few law enforcement cars in the school's parking lot. The students are seeing more security on campus, and it's something that parents tell us that they're glad to see. Food on campus this morning.
I just think it's going to be crazy. Everybody's going to be like cautious and like scared. And
classes going on as usual with added security.
They said the security today is going to be like high and like there's going to be more cops and more security around school today.
The classes were canceled after lunchtime yesterday. This was the scene at Rigetti. Investigators say 6 students, 4 boys and 2 girls, were taken into custody. Students say there were 4 different fights when the school was put on lockdown for about 2 hours. Cell phone video shows the deputy struggling with a few students. Investigators say the students resisted arrest and a friend surrounded the deputy. They say the deputy was pushed and hit.
I've got kids here at Rigetti and then at Lakeview, and they were both put on lockdown yesterday.
As parents dropped off their kids this morning,
these kids need to be reprimanded. They really do.
Parents say this is a wake-up call.
There needs to be a message to all the students.
As all of this was unfolding, some parents did tell us that they were worried because they weren't hearing from their students in the school. But I did speak with a few other parents today who said that they heard from the school right away and they were calm the whole time. Some good news, sheriff's deputies tell us that nobody was seriously injured. Live in Orchid, Nataly Tavidian, News Channel 3.
Huge march today to commemorate what many call an act of genocide. Thousands took to the streets in the Little Armenia community of Los Angeles today, carrying flags and signs. It's the 100th anniversary of the killings of 1.5 million Armenians massacred by the Ottoman Turks during World War I. KCOY 12 local news reporter Nataly Tavidian is live in San Luis Obispo with one woman's family's story of survival.
Well, Scott, many Armenians say they're descendants of Armenian genocide survivors. I'm standing at a display right now at Cal Poly where students of the ASA have made this display to educate people about their cause. And one local San Luis Obispo woman I talked to today, she says that she's remembering all the stories that her father told her, all the firsthand stories that he told her, and he says that his survival was a miracle. Florence Torian has reminders of her roots all over her home. A traditional Armenian rock cross, the Armenian flag, and photos of her father, who she calls an Armenian genocide survivor.
And they had a very hard time talking about it to us when we were growing up. My dad used to tear up every time he talked about his past.
He explained his eyewitness accounts in Armenian in this oral history project. Her father was about 7 years old in 1915 and witnessed things he would never forget.
All the time that he was being deported, and like I said, he saw a lot of killing and shooting and rapes.
A Turkish family took him in and raised him.
This is my dad's book.
But this family forced him to forget his roots and religion. He eventually escaped with help from his older sister.
My parents did not talk about their experiences much at home was because several reasons. They didn't want us to hate the Turks.
April 24 is an annual commemoration and marks the day hundreds of Armenian intellectuals were rounded up, many of them eventually killed.
It's regarded as the first step of the massacre. An estimated 1.5 million Armenians died while being forced from their homes. Armenians and historians view this as genocide, but modern-day Turkey doesn't accept it.
It's sad that they do. You know, when someone denies genocide, they tend to repeat it.
This is a necklace that I got in Armenia in 2001.
That's why Turian says she took her children to Armenia and will continue to tell her father's story so that the next generation never forgets.
Oh, they had to know, of course. Yeah, and I'm.
And that's the theme for many Armenians on April 24th, to never forget. Now, 43 states in the U.S. recognize the Armenian genocide, but the United States as a whole doesn't recognize it as a genocide, and more than 20 countries have accepted that word, Armenian genocide. Live at Cal Poly, Nataly, Tavidian, KCOY 12 Central Coast News.